We may have some more board members on their way, but we're gonna go ahead and get started because it's 5:30. Not talking to anyone in particular. So we'll open our meeting tonight with our public comment 1 of 1. We will take public comment tonight from those of you in the room, if there's anyone, or from our virtual audience. If you wish to speak during the public comment sessions, we will allow in-person guests to speak for 3 minutes first. Once we go through all the in-person guests, we'll open it up for virtual speakers on Zoom. In order to speak, please raise your virtual hand, enter your full name in your avatar profile. When speaking, turn your camera on and say your full name and town of residence. When these are complete, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. So here in our regular audience, is there anyone who would like to address us in public comment?
Hi, good evening. Robert Hens.
Can you come right up to the chair?
Sure. Robert Hens, 38 Dodge Road. I've been president of Amherst for about 8 years. I did a small stint on the Amherst School Board when somebody needed a replacement. I've got 3 daughters in the coming up through the, or 3 granddaughters coming up through the system, and I entered my name today for the SAU School Board member. So I just wanted to introduce myself, say hello, and if you start seeing Robert Hens or Bob Hens out there, that's me. So
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
thanks.
And anyone virtual?
No. No attendees virtual.
Then we'll move into our assistant superintendent hiring process, and I will turn it over to superintendent.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate people making time for this meeting. I know that this was an additional meeting added to the schedule. It was really important for us to go ahead and get this meeting on the calendar based on timelines. As people know, we've had the assistant superintendent position posted since the end of October, and we adjusted our timeline as we wanted to keep the position, posted for a while as we allowed candidates and people interested the time necessary to see if, SAU 39 was a match for them. I'm very pleased tonight to bring a candidate forward to you guys, and in your assembly agendas, added to assembly this afternoon between 3 and 4-ish. So if you had looked before, you didn't see anything, and then if you looked after that time, you saw it. There's a nomination packet, which includes the hiring process. So I was just hoping to review that with the board, and then introduce people to our candidate. And super pleased with the process, super pleased with the patience of the SAU board as we adjusted the timeline. So if you're in the document, you can kind of see where we went. It was open in October. The week of the 13th, we started to screen applications, and then it got pretty aggressive. If you look at the timeline, January 21, we screened. You can see who was involved. Yesterday, or the 28th, Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we had brought 3 finalists back, and went through a process where we had a board member from each district represented, along with building principals and union representation and central office. Yesterday, we brought 1 person back and had an hour-and-a-half interview / conversation to talk about the realities of the position and some of the initiatives and the work that we're doing more intimately, some of the real barriers and challenges, and there's also some of the things that are really good about here. And had a great chat, essentially from the end of the week of the 21st through Tuesday night, and then all day yesterday. And Steve and Amy can attest, a lot of vetting and conversations, took place. And so I'm pleased to, bring forth with you guys our candidate and this evening to introduce you to him. And you can see the process that we went through, and you can see, the things that we were looking for as we dug into this. In the packet, you'll see some of the competencies within the position that we kind of dug in on. And the 5 were instructional leadership, data analysis, collaboration and communication, leadership, and operational management. And it's outlined of like how we defined it. I can, ask Peter or Stephen or Jason to speak to that process, if you want to update your board members on what that second round looked like to you, and just talk a little bit about that, and then I'll carry on if you have anything to add.
I mean, yeah, I think the second round was a real thorough process. We all asked questions. It was real robust discussion afterwards. So we also had score sheets. Everyone scored and kept score, but we also then had real reflective conversations. People were able to really say how they felt and what. I think it was a good mix of stakeholders, right? So I don't want to speak for Mr. O'Keefe, but like he mentioned, like how this role is really a public facing role and how particular candidates might deal with that. So feel really good about the process that took place on that Tuesday. It was many hours, went longer than we anticipated, but it was because the discussion was good.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think Mr. White hit the nail on the head when we talked about what the 3 of our roles were there. And that was to serve as, the voice of the community, voice of the board, and to, really interject a public process or a public component to that process. There was a significant amount of awesome dialogue that occurred amongst all staff and our PPE representative, our administrative support staff, administration at all levels, whether it be the brick school or at the building level, as well as feedback that actually occurred back and forth amongst all of us. Some push and give and take, which was nice. And at the end of the day, I think what you're presenting here is really the best person that came out of that process. And it's something that resonated with me. I'm very happy to see the results here, and I'm proud to support this nomination.
Actually, you guys wrapped it up real well. It was a good cross-section of talent within the district. Three public, non-educational there, and again, there was strong, sometimes disagreement, dialogue that went on, but that's always better than everybody just sitting there and nodding their heads. So I thought the process was real strong, and I think it was a fair process for the candidates.
And then I appreciate, that's your takeaway, for us, it's always something we want to do as professional as possible, as thorough as possible, as ethical as possible. And it's really important to me as superintendent. It was important to me when I was a principal going through the hiring process, those of you who were on the SAU Board during those days. And so I'm pleased, in a moment, I'll introduce you to Bob Zokis, the nominee for the assistant superintendent, the next assistant superintendent, SAU 39. The reason we're bringing Bob forth is, as outlined, he's a known entity, a longtime educational leader, opened Bedford High School as a dean, been there since Bedford High School opened in 2006, I believe, and has been steady and consistent and remained in leadership in a very demanding community and a demanding school. And as people know, that's some of the qualities that, resonate with me as the superintendent, kind of battle tested and consistent. One of the things that we talked a lot about was the use of data and the understanding of using data to improve academic outcomes at the building level, but in the classroom level and at the PLC level. I think that's a real skill set that we're looking for. And at the end of the day, through the interview process and the vetting process, a real commitment to the students within the school and the staff within the school. And so with that said, I'm very pleased to introduce you to Bob Zokis, and I'm gonna have him come to the table, but after he introduces himself, and there could be some general get to know you type of questions. I'd like a board, Christine, I'd like to request nomination to approve Bob Shoge as the next assistant superintendent. So there you are. Bob, if you want to take a few minutes and
Sure.
introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Hello, everyone. Some of you I've seen before, but everyone else, thank you for having me here tonight. I'm absolutely delighted to have gone through that process that you just talked about. I respect very much the organization that I dealt with in this small window of time. I can tell already that it's just a really good match for me. Your level of professionalism that I've dealt with, your care for kids, academics, and sort of the whole kid. It's just a really, really good fit for me, and I'm just pleased as punch to be here, quite honestly. The resume stuff, you can see what I've done, right? Opening Bedford High School, I think for me has prepared me to do what you do. When I look at your framework and the stuff that you guys are really trying to dig in and do that work, I see a lot of the things, almost all of them, that I have experience with. That doesn't mean that we're gonna do it the same way that I did it before, but I have a toolbox that I can certainly bring to you and get after that work. Yeah, and if I may be so bold, Bob, if you can share with the group here a little bit about what you shared with us the other day, about your vision of community, and more importantly, the importance of it, and how a role like the assistant superintendent spot is in terms of actually really diving deep, getting to know community members, relating with the public, with parents, with taxpayers. Share us a little bit of your vision and what you hope to bring to the role. Yeah, the question was something about how do you do the work, but I said you have to build relationships, you have to know people, and you have to be out with people. I mean, that's really the only way that you can establish the trust when you're gonna do really hard work for the kids in the classroom, right? When you're gonna sit down with the teachers that are gonna look at the data and really dig into that. I have to know them first, right? And they have to trust me to do that. So you just have to spend time with people, right? For me, this will be new to have 4 boards, right? That's more people than I have to work with now, but doesn't matter. I still have to just get to know people. I said, you're present. You're at games, you're at chorus nights and band nights, right? You're just in the community. And I found, because I've got to know all the people in Bedford, right? The town council members and the VBOL, the anti-drug and alcohol awareness group. I just know them because I've spent time with them. Doing that allows me to do educational work in the buildings. And I'm just gonna say it again, I just get a sense of a great community as I interact with all of you here. It's really good. Anyone have anything else?
I don't have any questions.
Yeah.
I just want to say I'm really excited when I, by your background and the things I'd heard right before this. I mean, I didn't know who it was going to be
Sure.
before this, but thank you for coming tonight and, look forward to seeing what you do.
Thank you. I'm really excited too.
I do have one question. We are often compared to Bedford being both close geographically, but also socioeconomically.
Yeah.
And a whole lot goes into, well, how do we compare? How do we compare? And one of the things that I think it often comes down to is the values of the community. One of the values there is very much task force being a very high motivator.
Yeah.
And here, while they are certainly a data point that we care about, is not all that we care about. We care more about the whole child.
Yeah.
And I wondered what your thoughts are on that difference, because it's definitely a difference.
Right, I agree, and I absolutely agree with you. That's why this is a good fit for me, actually. So I'm gonna go back in time a little bit. I was at Bow High School when they opened, the second year that they opened. And the person that opened that school as the principal was George Edwards, and he was very familiar with coalition schools. So Bow, when I was there, had a very a flavor of coalition schools. And so I grew up as a teacher there, and it matched my philosophy about kids. And that they're whole people, and I talk a lot about that with my staff. We take care of the whole kiddo. Academics is one part, right? But you gotta look after that whole kid. So that's just part of who I am. I've tried to speak to that as I talk to you guys, but that's very, very important to me. So before this, it's gonna sound funny, but I was dressed in chainmail and steel armor at a club with kids who have a very niche love of historical fighting. And so we were battling 2 hours ago, but that's because those kids, they work very hard in their academics during the day, but they need to know that they have a place at my school, right? And so that club came from kids, and I said, yeah, I'll do that with you. So yeah, it's really important that all children feel good about the place that they're learning. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
We have a huge role in making sure they feel that way.
Yes. So we're looking for nomination.
Make a nomination.
All right, have you got it?
We'll make the nomination to approve. I am not going to get your last name correct. I am. Jizokis, I got it. To approve Bob Jizokis as Assistant Superintendent of SAU 39.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Anna Zimmerman and others. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Doesn't look like it. So congratulations, nice to have
Thank you
you.
very much. I will do my.
One little question. So when will Mr. Jizokis be joining us?
Officially July 1, 2025. But as people know, the transition process is informally kind of starts at people's schedules to get to know. There will be an entry plan that is developed by Bob and myself about what that looks like. He's still in the role as principal of Bedford and, has been there for, since 2006. And I want really him to enjoy the last few months in that role as we think about onboarding him here. So there'll be moments in the spring where he'll be informed about the work and what we're doing. But it's really going to be important for me to him to, enjoy the time with his staff, enjoy the time wrapping up that point of his career. That's a long time to be in one place. And that's a legacy, right? Like you were there when the building opened and now we're shifting to another point. And so I just want to be very mindful of that. But we have work to do, right? And so there will be some things, and then officially July 1, an entry plan will be developed. And you'll be presented, this board will be presented that probably in August and what that looks like and how we do that, similar to, the superintendent a couple years ago. And that's how we plan to do that.
So there shouldn't be a need for non-public now because we've done our work, but we do have to leave our meeting open for a little bit longer.
Can we just put into the record, Madam Chair, about the starting salary and the tier contracts, because that wasn't a part of the motion.
That was.
Yeah, I did, but we can do that. We can
Just
put it in
that.
the record.
As in,
As in say. yeah,
say it,
he's hired.
okay. Just checking before I do it, can't take it back. And so we just we voted to bring Bob Jizokis on board at a salary of $140,000 and a 2-year contract.
Perfect. All right. So
No guidance, everyone. Do
Yeah.
you sit here for?
now we have
10
12 minutes and we can make small talk. And,
Did you bring your snack back? Okay.
A snack of.
Right now.
Yeah, so we chat about food
No.
here, right?
Direct by yourself. Grandson. All us. And it helps me keep them awake. So I get home for lunch. Maybe one of the days we can stop and say hi to them.
So, it's funny because, the house right on the corner, now the second one is now. Right now it's now they have. And my second person.
How many people came into your?
Great thing. Like water down hall.
Yeah.
It's great.
I didn't want to ask.
So like the neighbors have,
I just heard.
looked up their friends.
Like it gets slow.
And the 2 horses have full range. Mine's
The rest
you know, we go back and forth between the two. Very, very retired.
Maybe close up the summer.
So.
Yeah.
There's.
It's a very.
Yeah, out of my other
It's,
Familiar. And after the building, they seem like. Yeah.
The two old ones are just like, whatever. Sometimes the gal.
Small. With light wide, we got a guy from Long Island. Yeah, a guy from.
Got a bigger barrel.
Yeah, I had high school, then we had Brian.
Well, that, and I think that I had it on.
Yeah, it was hard. It was true.
I have the game.
Yeah.
No, she said something. No, nothing standing. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's Bob. Bob who he served temporarily. Yeah. Oh, nice. He's actually, is just got.
Remember, what's that? And they always said, probably, yeah, it was like possible. He wanted it. No, it was compound, and you'd be able to like compound. So now it's like, I stay Yeah.
It'll be like face. It's very super nice. It's we have. Waiting to drop it. We're able to sit very close.
Whoever wins, right? Well, I'm saying whoever.
They were thinking of like.
Yeah. Good job. Well, you're very well. Probably thinking very well. Yeah, last night. You're right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and part of that could be. When I was doing the bridge, was like down. That was like it was like a train long. And I crossed it, and it went all down. Stuff like that. There was some communication on the website about this week, how do you get? And it was like one way to bridge on the street, and like, that's really helpful for us. Like, this road, this road is for parents, where's your buses? Parents in this way. So I'm assuming this whole evening gonna be there, saying, like, bus is stopped. I mean, yeah, I had a human there. Yeah. I mean,
Can't be. I had American.
Your kids play.
So I have.
Parking there max, right? You know,
Yes.
so that new access will be closed weekend, we can still drive on there tomorrow, you know, maybe. Yeah, park all up there, right? We hold the car out. Yeah. I think rec center, with the parking is better, so the model, we're not on grass, it's Halloween, parking, German market parking. Yeah, it could be better, a little better. There's a lot of like things. I just wish we had done more to get the, like, try to move something. Voluntary pricing, like, yeah, all of our partnerships there with businesses. From a borrow all the money, then we just call our population, that might go towards it, so. Yeah, no, I will, I mean, say, hey, I know. She knew, I didn't know, she knew. Yeah. But you know, you're doing Maybe it's a piece out there. So that's my big problem. I mean, we're in the field, so very similar. A lot of cold, high trust, you know, it's like, and yours doesn't go over, there's a parent. Yeah, my system, you have to have, you're focused on possession, products, customer, whatever, but you're all, and you can do each other, but like, that's what's makes it honest. Here, and like more of those strips, it's hard to know, okay, what's something around with weekends? I want my. And I it's really diminishing. It's not, you know, you have to find people who don't have.
Yeah, I like that.
You can't learn from our better, they're worse than that. You know, like I'm saying, like, you have a role model. In country saying, like, that's the picture that you see it all. It's us, bro. We're the best ones we have. And it's like, that's not good. We're the best we have, we're doing our best, but it's not like, yeah. And that's no, I don't think you would have.
He went more insane, I just.
I wish there was. Yeah. Amongst the people in the arena, there's a lot of respect from a lot more than, yeah, maybe I don't like it, but I respect a certain degree. But the people how I reach out to you and you know, I don't know. And let me explain why. So it's more than, it's not, it's culture by micro.
Do we need to say anything about second public comment? Okay. And I can just say, you want to make that, or you want me to just? Okay. The SAU 39 meeting is now adjourned, so if you're not Sauhegan, you no longer have to sit at this table.